Oh, I guess we're ready. Okay, this is our CLC project, the motivational interviewing and program implementation by Ethan, Emma, Layla, Savea, Ruby, and Levi.
Okay, so first, looking at the introduction for us, we're going to have background information tests and measures that we'll go over. We'll go over the motivational interviewing and the tests and measures, and then we'll go through the SMART goals in the assessment and evaluation. And then we'll also go through like the synthesis of everything we got there. Then we'll go through the program design and all of our exercises that we selected, and then show the implementation for them. So first, looking at the informed consent from Savea.
Yeah, so before I completed any of the strength training, I filled out a PAR-Q for this project, which is a physical activity readiness questionnaire. And this form helped my coaches identify any health risks or medical conditions that might affect my training. If I were to answer yes to any of the questions, I may need further medical clearance before proceeding in training. And the purpose of this form is to make sure the program is safe, appropriate, and tailored to my needs. The PAR-Q protects both the client and the trainer, ensuring that the client is training at a safe level. And then after the PAR-Q, I filled out the informed consent form, which was to acknowledge that I understand what I will be participating in. And then the goal of that form is transparency. And that also ensures that I understand both the risks and rewards of this program.
Awesome. So next, moving to the motivational interview. We use the OARS method for this interview, and we primarily use open-ended questions, which are what, how, and why questions. And then from there, we also used reflective statements and affirmations to help acknowledge their efforts and strengths in their answers, and also get further information by rephrasing and restating the information that we gave. And this lasted for about 6 to 8 minutes, and then we recapped at the end with like a very clear and concise summarization just to make sure we got all the information so that we can uh, create those programs for our people. Looking at the motivational interview applied, so important information that we gathered the main background information and a need for a program. So in our past for our program's client, they had an ACL injury which led to lower extremity weakness in their legs. And this provided insight into the tests and measures that we should do, knowing that we should focus on strength and just stability in the lower body, as well as like range of motion to ensure that that is a good fit for them or the exercises that we choose. And then it provided insight for the program by determining what we should focus on with the program. So primarily like strength exercises rather than cardiovascular. And then key takeaways we got from it were that we should focus on that lower body strength and that the client likes to lift weights, specifically like free weights. And then her goals are to improve strength and stability and kind of build back up into a clear program going like 2 to 4 days a week. So that helped as well. And then lastly, it helped us figure out her current challenges, which are struggles with like time and consistency, and then just feeling disheartened by being weaker than before. And then we got some of the stuff and a link as well.
And then after the motivational interview, we got some insight into what tests and measures to perform on the client. We used the manual muscle test for knee flexion and extension to identify any weaknesses in the muscular groups in the quadriceps and the hamstrings. So we did the manual muscle test, and she had some weakness in pushing against in extension, as well as we did the overhead squat assessment to identify any mobility issues or muscular compensations, such as like the knees caving in or forward leans. She was able to meet sufficient depth, but wasn't able to complete full depth, and knees were stable. And then we also did the range of motion test and measures in knee flexion and extension. We used a goniometer app to assess how far she was able to contract and we found that she had no pain in either. There could be some a joint stiffness in flexion, but it was sufficient in being able to go past 90 degrees.
So during the evaluation phase, information from both the motivational interview and the physical assessments were synthesized to better understand our client's needs. The evaluation identified lower extremity weakness and instability that was related to a previous ACL injury, as well as movement limitations observed during the overhead squat assessment. And through the interview process, strength and stability were confirmed as our client's primary goals, with a preferred training frequency of 2 to 4 days per week. The evaluation also revealed some time constraints and reduced confidence as her current challenges. And so together, these findings were used to guide the development of an individualized, realistic, and client-centered exercise program.
All right, we used that evaluation and the motivational interview to help drive the SMART goals. So the first SMART goal is that within 12 weeks, the client will train 3 to 4 days per week to strengthen her left leg until it's within 10% of the strength of her right leg on single leg strength tests. And the second one was because she wants to slowly introduce running again, the client will complete 2 short interval-based running sessions per week while avoiding long, steady state runs because she particularly dislikes those. And the goal is to progress gradually to 10 total minutes of work each session within 6 weeks while maintaining pain-free movement. And then the client will progress from her current routine of about 2 gym sessions per week to completing 3 structured lower body focused workouts per week for 8 consecutive weeks in order to improve consistency and boost confidence.
And this lower body strength program combines compound, machine, and single joint exercises to develop overall strength and stability. The barbell back squat is a foundational compound lift that targets the quads and glutes and hamstrings, performed for 4 sets of 5 reps. The Romanian deadlift emphasizes the hamstrings and glutes while improving hip hinge strength using 4 sets of 8 reps. Hip thrusts maximize glute activation and enhance power for sprinting and jumping, performed for 4 sets of 5 reps. The leg press allows high force output to strengthen quads and glutes safely and completed for 4 sets of 6 reps. Machine and single joint accessory exercises help target specific muscles and addresses imbalances. The hamstring curl isolates the hamstrings. The Smith machine calf raise strengthens the calves and improves ankle stability. And the glute med cable abduction targets the hip abductors to support knee tracking and reduce injury risk. These exercises are performed 2 times per week with an appropriate rest interval of 2 to 5 minutes for heavy lifts and 60 to 90 seconds for accessory work to ensure recovery and optimal performance.
All right, and we're not going to play the videos here, but in the videos, I go through coaching Sabe through the movements we had, which were the barbell back squat, the dumbbell Romanian deadlift, and the no barbell Romanian deadlift, and the Smith machine calf raises. Goal of the back squat is to improve overall lower body strength. The goal of the Romanian deadlift is to improve specifically hamstring and low back strength, as well as just overall stability. And then the calf raises help strengthen the ankle mobility and stability, as well as overall calf strength. These are 3 foundational movements that all help each other.
A study by the National Library of Medicine found that multi-joint exercises like squats, leg press, and hip thrust produce greater strength gains than single joint exercises when training volume is matched. Since Savea's goal is to improve lower body strength, prioritizing multi-joint movements aligns with the research. These exercises engage multiple joints, increasing neural and metabolic demand, which enhances overall performance and makes workouts more time efficient. Since Savea had problems with time in the past, that was an important thing. So we had to make sure she could get the most for the amount of time she had. The study also noted that while multi-joint exercises improve strength and conditioning more, both single and multi-joint exercises equally benefit body composition. Other research highlights that single joint exercises help prevent injuries and muscle imbalances, justifying their inclusion. Since Savea enjoys strength training, this program supports her goals while keeping workouts enjoyable.
And then lastly, here are our references used for the implementation.